voice that I heard could be explained. Everything that I saw out of the corner of my eye, it wasn't there. I could explain that away. But there came a day when something happened that I couldn't just explain away. This was about a year after I had purchased the house, and I bought the house from the bank because the previous owners didn't have any relatives. They did not have any children. They did not have any aunts, uncles, cousins. It was an older couple, and they had built the house in 1956. The man was the owner of a local shoe store and his wife. So when I purchased the house, it was from what was remaining of their estate, and it was from the bank, so nobody had ever lived in this house except them and now me. So the day in question that the incident, as I like to call it, happened, myself and my son were watching television in the living room. Now, the living room was very, very long. This is a long ranch house, and the living room was extremely long. And we had swinging, I think they were saloon doors that went into the kitchen. And we're just sitting watching TV. And I hear this click, 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 click. And I'm looking around, and I look at my son, and he was young at this time. And he's, "What is that noise?" I'm like, "I don't know." So we turned down the television to listen to it. And all we heard was click, 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 click. We're looking around, and I can see in by the kitchen door the swinging saloon doors, and they're moving ever so slightly. Click, 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 click. So I go over, and my son goes over, and as soon as we get up to them, it stops. It just stopped. So I'm just thinking to myself, there must have been some vibration that started them to swing, and I'll get some oil or something to, help with the door swing. So I did that, and I'm working on it, and you don't hear that click, 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 click anymore, and they seemed fine. It was easily explained away. A couple of days later, when my son is not in the house, again, I hear this sound, but this time it's click, 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 click. The doors are swinging, not together like they were, but totally separate. Just little swings, not large swings. Just click, as I said, I'm trying to rationalize everything in this house. So I said, if you're moving this door, please stop now. And the door stopped moving. Now, was this just coincidence? Or was this actually somebody listening to me? I'm not sure. But I didn't see this happen again for weeks. What did happen is just myself and my son in the house. And I'm scared. So I actually took a chair and put it under the door, just for peace of mind for myself, knowing that nobody could get in. So I put the chair under the door, and I went to bed. going to put them in the basement, just in case you want to put them back on. I said, okay, go put them in the basement. He walks down the hall to the door to go into the basement. And what does he hear? He hears the doorknob moving. The doorknob is moving itself. He hears this, and he walks up, and he looks at it, and he opens the door. He goes and puts the saloon doors down in the basement, comes back upstairs, and says, "Did you know your door handle was moving into your basement?" And I say, yes, it's been doing that. I don't know what could be the reason. He's like, I saw it. It was moving, but there was nobody there. I said, I don't know what could be causing it. He's like, well, let me check. So he checked the door, tightened what he thought could be tightened on the doorknob. He never thought another thing about it, but I did. I thought about it all that day. I thought about the saloon doors moving. I thought about the door handle moving. And I'm walking around the house asking, who's here? Is there anybody here with me? And all of a sudden, I got a rush smell of roses. Roses, like I was in a field of millions of roses. I got that smell of roses. Now, I had a medium mystic in the house before, and they had told me that there was the previous owners here, but they wouldn't hurt me. But they sure are scaring me. So I'm in the house alone. I smell these roses. These roses. I smell them everywhere. And all of a sudden, I hear click, 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 click. There are no more saloon doors in the kitchen, and I'm still hearing click, 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 click. I don't know what's going on in the house. I don't want to be scared. But there's all these little things happening that I can't explain. And I'm not the only one hearing them. Other people are hearing them too. So I'm trying to think to myself, what can I do to make this stop? What can I do to not be afraid? So what I decided to do was check into the history of the people that owned the house. And that's exactly